When news first broke that Ed Balls had been rushed to the intensive care unit, the British public was shaken. For many, Ed isn't just a former politician or a familiar face on morning television. He's become a symbol of warmth, resilience, and humanity in an increasingly divided world. From the House of Commons to the Strictly ballroom, from political debates to baking with his children at home, Ed has always lived life with passion and sincerity. He's known for his laugh, his dance missteps, and that rare ability to connect with people from all walks of life. But in a cruel twist no one saw coming, Ed was facing a life-threatening battle away from the spotlight. And his family, particularly his wife, Yvette Cooper, were thrust into a personal nightmare they never imagined. It began quietly. According to close friends, Ed had not been feeling quite himself for several weeks. He'd grown more tired, less talkative, and complained occasionally of a lingering pain in his abdomen. Like many do, he brushed it off, believing it to be nothing more than fatigue from work or the everyday stress of public life. But what seemed minor quickly spiraled into something terrifying. Late one evening, while at home in their family kitchen, Ed suddenly collapsed. Yvette, ever calm under pressure, acted instantly, calling emergency services as their children looked on in horror. Within minutes, paramedics arrived and Ed was rushed to a central London hospital. By the time doctors assessed him, his condition had worsened dramatically. He was placed in ICU, sedated, and kept under 24-hour observation. The public wouldn't hear the news until nearly 12 hours later. When it did finally break, it stopped people in their tracks. Twitter, Facebook, and news outlets lit up with messages of shock and support. "Not Ed Balls," one user wrote. "He was just on GMB last week, looking so well." Others shared memories of seeing him speak at events, signing books, or even dancing joyfully on Strictly Come Dancing. Suddenly, across the UK, people who had never met Ed were united in concern. All attention turned to Yvette Cooper, Ed's wife for over 25 years, and a formidable political figure in her own right. Known for her sharp intellect, her measured speeches, and her advocacy on behalf of families and vulnerable communities, Yvette had long stood beside Ed. But now she faced her most personal and harrowing battle yet, watching her husband fight for his life. Yvette was seen entering and leaving the hospital each day, her eyes red, her shoulders heavy with worry. Friends say she barely ate, barely slept, but always she stayed strong for their children and for Ed. Then came the moment that touched the nation. 3 days after Ed's admission, Yvette released a brief public statement. "Ed is the love of my life. Seeing him in that hospital bed, so vulnerable, so still, has been the most painful experience of my life. But I know Ed. He's strong. He's a fighter. And I believe with every fiber of my being that he's coming back to us." Her words weren't political. They weren't polished. They were raw, honest, human. She thanked the hospital staff. She thanked the public for their outpouring of love. And she ended with a plea. "Please hold your loved ones close. None of us know what tomorrow brings. But tonight I'm choosing hope. Because Ed would too." Within moments, social media erupted. #PrayForEd and #StayStrongYvette trended across the UK. Politicians from all parties, TV presenters, and even comedians who had once ribbed Ed for his dancing sent messages of support. This wasn't just about a public figure in a hospital bed. It was about the man behind the name, Ed Balls, who once nervously tweeted, Ed Balls and accidentally became an internet legend. The same Ed who baked bread during lockdown, who cried watching his daughter play piano, who dedicated his life to making Britain better. His health crisis reminded everyone that even those who seem larger than life are in the end only human and deeply loved. Over the days that followed, slow, cautious updates began to emerge. Ed was still in ICU, but his condition was now listed as serious but stable. The infection that had overwhelmed his body was finally responding to treatment. Doctors were optimistic, though guarded. Ed had a long road ahead, filled with rehabilitation and recovery. But most importantly, he had turned a corner. And through it all, Yvette remained by his side. Nurses described her as unwavering. One even shared, anonymously, that Yvette would read aloud letters from their children. She brought Ed's favorite tea towel from home. She whispered to him constantly, reminding him of their plans, their past, and the love that still surrounded him. In a time dominated by political division, harsh headlines, and fleeting viral trends, the story of Ed and Yvette became something entirely different. A moment of collective pause. People lit candles. Local churches held quiet prayers. Messages were sent from primary schools, rugby clubs, and retirement homes alike. We were reminded of something we'd almost forgotten: how deeply connected we all still are. Though Ed remains in recovery, there is now talk of what comes next. According to family friends, Yvette is already working with doctors on a rehabilitation plan, not just to get Ed walking and talking again, but to help him truly live. That includes emotional healing, time with family, and perhaps a long break from the public spotlight. But knowing Ed, he'll return when he's ready, with that same crooked smile, a new story to tell, and maybe, just maybe, a dance move or two. Yvette's last update included a quiet message, one not meant for headlines, but one that resonated deeply with those who heard it. We've been given a second chance, and we're going to make every moment count. Ed and Yvette's story is more than a headline. It's a reminder that behind every public figure is a beating heart, that strength is found not just in what we say, but in how we love and who we fight for, that hope, no matter how dim, should never be abandoned. If this story moved you, please consider subscribing to our channel. Tap the notification bell so you never miss another moment that matters. Because these aren't just celebrity stories, they're human stories. And today, we stand with Ed Balls, Yvette Cooper, and their family, wishing strength, healing, and the promise of brighter days ahead.